we'll be covering the solid hidden gems. Let's get started. When you go to the open command and you go to the recent, you're going to find that you have, in some cases, you pin down the files or projects that you're working with. And in some cases, if you're done with the projects, you unpin it. And sometimes you just don't want to see them again because you're done with that project. Or if you have a really large populated page here, you need to start, get rid of some of these files, basically removing them from the list here. And if you have quite a bit, you're gonna be doing a lot of clicking. You gotta come back, remove from list, and so on. So there is in order to get some more options in there, you got to go to the the registry editor, and you'll find that on the H key current user software Siemens folder, and then solid edge folder, and then you go to the release you're on, and you keep going down to UI until you find the MRU options, and you select the show clear MRU options. Right click, modify that, and on the value, you go ahead and put in 1. So once you do that, and you right click here, now you have 3 other more options here. And this is the one that you want to use for here, because like I said earlier, you would be doing a lot of right click and remove, right click here. Here, you want to just, that these are the pins, these are the project you're working on, and those are pinned. That's the one you want to keep. Everything else, you could just clear out. So you click on clear recent documents, and now you're only left with the ones you're working with. Um, so another one is if you are working with your File Explorer, let me put that aside here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how you could go ahead and open files by dragging and dropping as well without going browsing for them if you already have a folder open with the files you need to work with. So for example, if I open up a part, just the blank part here, and you could go to the, let's say, any part here, let's say this part right here, and that's obviously a native solid edge part. Drag it, and you're done. Okay. Now they also could bring in, say, part from let's say SolidWorks. Drag it. Now for this, it's going to ask you for a template, so you simply select that template. There it is. I also could bring in, let's say, a parasolid file. Drag it, drop it, select the template. Obviously, that's probably a sheet metal part. I think that's what it was. Yes, sheet metal part. So say that, and there it is right there. All right, so that's how you bring in, drag and drop in files from your File Explorer. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bigger. I'm gonna close these. I no longer need them. And actually, there was an option here to close all. I could have done that as well. Close all documents there. That's a fast way to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up. Let's see here. Actually, I'm gonna open up this file right here. Oh, there we go. And it's gonna be this file. Okay, so little tips here. When you find yourself in the sketch, and if you want to use, for example, a line, and I want to use a midpoint of this, say I snap into that. Obviously, you can always do this, right? Snap right in here, left click, and you can always go to the endpoint or midpoint as indicated there, right? But sometimes when you find yourself when you have a lot of lines and you want to just hover the one that you want, hit the M, just snaps right in there. That's the midpoint of the intersection. Let's say I want to draw a line here. And for this one, you could just hover both of them and kind of hover over here and you get that indication there. Left click there. Center. If I want to create a line here and simply hover the circle that you want to create a line from, hit the C. See how it snaps right in there? Okay. And then obviously you got the endpoint here, so from here and endpoint. And obviously you could have gone to it very simple, just go to it as well, right? But again, the idea here is that if you find yourself where you have a lot of lines, circles, that kind of stuff, it's easier to just hover over so that you know exactly which one to get to, snap onto. Let's see here. And you find all that information right at the bottom here. See that? C for center, endpoint, midpoint, intersection. There's another tip here too. Sometimes when you find yourself, if you know you're gonna make something symmetrical, let's say a line here, I'm gonna make that right about here, and I want to hit the S, and you can see that it starts to make it symmetrical. Okay. Another thing too, you can hit the for to make the 50 degrees increments, the shift, and see how it snaps into every 15. So that's another nice little tip there. Another one would be if you've created, let's say, for example, a line and you want to create a slot. So, you left click and then you could go up here and create your arc. And I'll go ahead and do that just manually so you can see what you need to do. So whenever you come in here, you have to come out in the right direction. See the little tangents there, right? So which way, depending where you come out, that's how you go ahead and do that. All right. So I'm going to do left click again, continue on. See, it's left with my line here. And then do the same thing, but this time I'm gonna hit the A for arc, and you can see that quickly I could create an arc. So I'm gonna do both now. So I'm gonna do something like this, hit the A on my keyboard there, continue on with my line, A, and you're done. See how quickly you do something like that. All right, so that's that one. Go ahead and move on to the next one. The next one is going to be 3D sketching. If you've done 3D sketching in the past, you see there's a tab for that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a line here. And as soon as I do that, I get an indication here. I can move it around. I try it here. And that kind of indicates to me, and you can see how it snaps into that Z vector there. I could keep going. See how X now. And you can see it snapping into it, right? Like that until you get whatever you need to get done. However, though, in some cases, you want to kind of create your own. Obviously, this basically works on the origin there, right? Kind of snaps into those orientations there. But sometimes you need to create a different orientation. So what you need to do is you have to create a coordinate system. And I'm just going to go and place one right there. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to click on it. And let's say I want a different orientation here. So I'm going to, and you can set it by doing a shift and clicking on your two plane right here. And then at that point, if you want to change the orientation, let's say something like this. Okay. Then I come back and do a line. But this time I'm going to go back to, instead of base, I want to coordinate 7, which is the one I created. This one right here. See how it orientates now? So if I click a line here, you can see how it's going that direction there. You can see it snaps into it like that. You can see how it's where it's going. Okay. So that's kind of the way that works. And if I look at it from this view now, let's say this was the one that was created originally. You can see that obviously that's the orientation that you have it for that one. You can also use geometry. Let me create another one here. Let me create one right up here. I'm going to snap it right in there. And I'm going to change the orientation. So I'm going to maybe go on along this line right here. So I'm going to set my two plane here. So it, and I'm going to make that right here. And now I'm going to snap it into this line right there. All right, so now I got that. So again, I'm going to come back and create my line here. You can see the orientation there. Now it's going along that. Okay, so that's how that works. See it? I go to this view here. Actually, these kind of work close to each other, very close, similar, but you kind of get the point there. Okay, let's see here. Hmm. All right, so there's some other sketching tools here. Let me actually should have. So I'm gonna go back to regular sketching here. So let me go back out here and here. So let's say I'm gonna go somewhere right here. There we go. So there's some other tools here. You got draw using a pen or finger. You have a you know touch screen. Obviously, I'm gonna do it with my mouse here, but ideally, oh, there we go. So you create. There you go. Uh, there you go. So I'm gonna create a little rectangle there. See how there you go. That's what I wanted. Maybe a circle. And again, it's definitely much better when you're using a pen. So you can kind of get the idea there. You could draw a line. Oh, there you go. And if I get close enough to the end there, it should snap right into it too as well. So if, this is ideal if you have a tablet, things like that. So if you want to do that one, those are another option here. There's all this other free sketch here. It's been around for quite a bit. It's not something that again, it's oh, there you go. You can see the options you have there, and again, I think this is much better because that don't yet the I my opinion you have more control over that. All right, so those are the options there um, for sketching. So the other one is going to be, let's see here, this one right here. Now this is something I run into sometimes, whether the tech support call, where they call me or they call the tech support and I happen to pick up, and they're like, Manny, I can't quite understand why I'm getting this behavior. And obviously, when you draw, let's say this little rectangle here, you notice it gives me the connecting points right there, and also vertical, horizontal, right? But for whatever reason, sometimes they, without realizing, they uncheck that right here. So I'm gonna do exactly the same thing, and you see the notice here, it actually didn't connect them versus this one being connected, right? So just be aware of that. Sometimes that happens. Now, if you have AutoCAD drawing that you need to constrain, and obviously, you could go ahead and click on that and then make it horizontal, vertical, and so on. But you'll be doing a lot of clicking. So there's a tool for that. It's called the Relationship Assistant. Under the options here, you might want to come back and check dimensions. Just make sure you want to place geometry relationships. Go ahead and window everything in. And then this one right here as well. And accept that. And you can see how it goes on and plays it for you. So nice way of doing that. I just make sure always have this on as well. And then if you come back and change something here, and you actually see that being changed on the other view here. Okay. All right. Nice little one right there. Another thing too, forgot to mention that earlier. If you right click on the tab here, I mentioned earlier that you could come back and close all. You could also come back and open up the document that the file is located in, which is really very helpful. If you click there, it's going to tell you where it's located. It's a very, very useful tool there. Okay, so the other one is going to be, let's see here. Let's look at this one right here. So whenever you select the, let's say a PMI dimension in this case, let's say this one right here. And, when you try to either, use your mouse to control that, let me move this over here. And obviously it's moving it right there. And I'm moving my mouse, my scroll over here, right? And obviously I'm getting that, but sometimes if I move out of here, the area here starts to zoom in and out. And maybe that's not what you intended. Obviously, if you selected that dimension and you use your mouse, your scroll wheel to move that, modify that, but then you slightly move out there, it starts to zoom out, zoom in out. If you don't want that behavior, you could go back to settings, options, and under the general tab, there's a enable value change using the mouse wheel. There is also a shortcut here. Um, so you can hit control and then hit the scroll the wheel and then we'll overwrite that. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that behavior now. So now that I've done that, I could go anywhere, have my mouse anywhere and you scroll my wheel here. And you see that? That's kind of the way I wanted it because that was maybe my intent. Again, that's my personal preference. But if you want to hit the control, now you start zooming in and out. Let go control, and you start changing that. You see the behavior there. Another, if you see that your dimensions are quite big, they're kind of getting bulky. There is an option here under PMI to go and make them smaller. See that right there? Okay, sometimes they might get a little just too much, too big. So you want to change that size there. That looks about right. Okay, there's also a shortcut as well. See that right there is Control Shift plus either if you want to make it big, you want to hit the dot, and then the make it bigger, make it smaller, make that Shift, Control Shift and comma. So let me go ahead and show you that. So Control Shift and comma. I'm doing that right now, and I'm doing the dot. I'm just making it bigger. Whenever you select a surface, let's say for example this part right here. Notice right now I have my setting to just kind of highlight the surface area there, the perimeter of that surface that I have. And by default, and I run into this a lot when I'm talking to customers, and I look at they're just maybe not aware that you could control that. There is a under the view tab here. There's also, I have mine turned off right here. I'll show you that. Let me go ahead and turn it on. And I'm gonna push this all the way to the end here on the glow. And I'm gonna say that. And I kind of point out that, again, this comes down to a kind of a personal preference there. When I'm selecting something like this, sometimes I can't really make out what I'm selecting. Something like this, it's just kind of too glowing effect, and just to me, it's just not really um, looking for more clear of what I'm selecting. See that how guys gives me that glowing effect there, and sometimes you have a more complicated, but I just create this big glowing effect there. So I explained to them that I could go ahead and show them that there is an option to do that, and I would say 99% of the time they say, yeah, that's much better. So I go ahead and turn this off, slide all the way to 0, and turn that off, and say yes. And now when I do this, and now I'm much clearer as to what I'm selecting. I mean, again, that's just another things that I prefer. Okay. The other thing is, in some cases too, again, if you let me go turn that on the it's called the select edge color, and sometimes you see the setting that's set by default thing is white, and to me that doesn't look, just kind of trying to figure out where sometimes the lines end and begin, especially on circles, things like that. It's really kind of make it hard where that is. So I go and explain to them again that there is an option to go and so go to select edge color. Always have that in black. So to me, it's much clearer as to what I'm selecting there. Let's go to a large assembly here. And see now there. So next thing I'm going to show you is okay. So whenever you select a part, let's say this one right here. And the behavior that you expect is that, you want to go ahead and find this part wherever it's located, whether it's, this sub-assembly and this sub-assembly and so forth, right? It just makes it a lot easier when you click on that part and say, ah, there it is right there. But in some cases, and that's the setting is not turned on by default. If I go back options here, and if I go to assembly, and this is the option you need to go and make sure you have on all the time. Auto scroll assembly pathfinder. So let me go ahead and show you that behavior, and I'm going to turn it off just temporarily here. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse all my here. So if I click here, see that right there? It just highlights the top, or in this case happens to be another sub-assembly from this tablet assembly. So if you go here, you need to go expand it, and now it tells you where it's at. In some cases, actually, would need to come back another level. Let's try that again. Go here. Yeah, see, then I need to expand that one now, and now there it is right there. Right now, at that point, you could right click on it and say, okay, I need to go, open it, edit in place, and activate it. Especially when you need to come back and activate those. So that's very helpful there. So yeah, this is definitely a very useful tool when and always come back and uh, you know open that much easier if you wish to do that. So I'm gonna go back and change that and to turn this on here on assembly and make sure you have that on all the time. Very useful tool. Another thing is let's see this the steering wheel here. Sometimes you don't need it. You can always come back and turn it off. See that right there? Now it's turned off. So in case I don't need it, if you wish to change the of your viewing cube there, you can always go back to options again and go to center view here on a quick view cube settings there. You can see select the opacity, so forth. So it's up to you how you want to set that. I like it like that. It's fine. All right. So that's another one right there. If you let's see here. Let me go ahead and open up another part here. Our assembly, yeah, assembly right here. Okay, so this one right here, let's say that this part right here, this is some kind of a ECU box, and maybe you need to convert that or add some kind of a protective there. So I'm going to open it up, and how do you convert a part? Notice it's a part, right? We're in part environment here, and I want to convert it to a sheet metal. So, and you have to be in ordered. So you need to go to Tools, see Part to Sheet Metal, select the command, and say yes, select the defaults there. And at this point, simply start selecting the edges there. You see how it started to place in the sheet metal there. And I'm going to come back and just work my way out there, all the way to that one right there, and then come back and do these side ones here, there. And if you click on these little glyphs here, see how it gives you options there to open, close. I'll leave the default. And then they go and accept that. All right, see that now converted to sheet metal. And one other thing too, so notice it just converted to sheet metal. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that when I have the flanges, things like that, so I go right click on it and actually move that to synchronous. As soon as I do that, now it gives me my tab, right, my flanges. Another tool here, another tip here is if you want to create a cutout here, but in the old method is if you use an order, you have to unbend it, create a cutout, and then rebend it back again, right? So now that I've seen notice everything's now sheet metal here, I want to go ahead and create a cutout. Let's see here. I actually need to create a circle first. Oh, yes, I need to make sure I move out of order into synchronous. See that right there is highlighted. Just come back and click there. There you go. All right, so I need to come back and have a circle here. And I'll just create one right there. Okay. So I need to come back and click on the cut out command and make sure you activate the rept cut. So all you need to do is left click, and right click. There it is right there. Pretty cool way to get that done there. Okay, so that does it for hidden gems. Hope you enjoyed them. Thank you.